All right, today I got my rock star, Mr. Josh Finigan in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was having a great conversation with him this week, and he was telling me that he already has 10 expired listings under contract or appointments already year to date. It is January 30th, 2025. And last year he converted probably in the range of 25 expired listings. I think in his top year, what did you get up to?
I think just under 40.
Yeah, so just under 40 expired listings converted in 1 year. Obviously, he is a rock star when it comes to scripting, strategy, skills, process, technique. So today, let's see if we can pick Josh's brain, pick out a couple things that he's doing that is world-class. And let's see if we can help you guys get some expired listings in 2025. Josh, anything else that we should share about your experience and or success with expireds to get us started here?
So I moved my business about 5 years ago now up to Charlotte. And when I moved up here, I literally asked myself, I was like, all right, so I'm starting over completely. How can I get business the fastest? And the answer to that question is the people already raising their hands saying, I want to sell. So I started on FSBOs and expireds and literally got here in April, had my first closing in May. That's why I love these guys. They're one of the lead sources that, one of the only that you'll actually find somebody ready, willing, and able to buy today. Like I could have a phone call this morning, meet them this afternoon, list them, get on the market, go on a contract and close. So it's the quickest way to get your business up and running.
Hey guys, I'm super excited to announce that I've created a new email newsletter called the Sales Conversion Lab. So go down below and get yourself signed up. Find that link in the description box. I'm gonna be doing stuff on scripts, skills, strategies, interviews like this with Josh Finigan. I've got all kinds of great stuff that I want to share with everybody, interviews with some of the best service providers, tools that you guys need to convert at the highest level. Go down below and get signed up. Just put a little email there and I'll send you off all kinds of goodies. Enjoy this episode.
Yep, I agree with that 100%. And as we all know, it's very difficult to go from, I know that this is one of the best listing lead sources, period, end of story. And it's one of the fastest ways to build a business, whether or not you're coming into a new market, whether or not you're a new agent or even a seasoned agent. We know that it's one of the most challenging ones. So let's dive in a little bit with Josh on, if you were to start over again today, and you were to give yourself advice at the beginning of your career, knowing what you know today, what advice would you give yourself on how to win the game of expireds?
Just practice scripts, and time on the phone is key. So practice your scripts, read it every day. Jeff Glover says to write your scripts, I think, 50 times a day for the first few weeks you're ever doing something. So you can memorize the script in your head, but also you got to be on the phones. So I was talking with one of my buddies, just got into the industry, and I was like, did you just stay on the phones? Like you have nothing else going on, be on the phones, having those conversations, because even if your script's not perfect, you'll get better. And the more you make, the more you make. At the end of the day, even if you pick up a phone book and you call through enough people, you're going to find somebody eventually that wants to buy or sell with you. So even if your skills are low, the more you do it, you're going to find that lead that wants to transact with you, and you're also going to get better along the way.
Really, you do have to put a lot of effort into script development. When I met Josh, you probably had studied the majority of the best expired prospectors that are available on YouTube and training programs, and you've done it all, right? And so it's not just there's one person that's the perfect one. It's study all of the masters that are available in the place and be very diligent with that.
So going back to what you just said, learn from everybody, but stick with one script, right? You want to go down a proven path, and then as you get good and as you master it, then you can add another script and another script until you get to the point where I like this part of this script, that part of that script, and I like the way I say this, right? So stick with one thing and just hammer that script till you know it. And you're going to pick up some clips from other people once you have internalized that script. And that's when it stops sounding like a script, right, in your head. You don't have to think about what you're saying next. Allows you to think about what the client's going to say next. Then you can get a little bit more advanced. But along with scripting, also just general sales training, in my opinion, is extremely important. Matching and mirroring, you got 3 seconds on the phone before somebody knows exactly who you are. So you have to be able to gain rapport in that 3 seconds. How do you do that? Train from the best in the industry, not just real estate, but just all across the sales industry itself. identify the small quibs you do that can really make a huge difference on the entirety of the call.
Yeah, exactly. Is there any specific people that you followed over the years? I get that asked all the time. There's the Tony Robbins original rapport building techniques. We got the advanced NLP. We got the basic how to communicate with anyone, like simple conversational tips. Was there any standouts for you along that journey of learning how to build rapport with a stranger and taking resistance and turning it into a conversation?
So my 3 favorite, and they're my pillars, and I probably revisit each one of these once a quarter. Just reread them over and over again because you always get something different. First one is Tony Robbins, Mastering Influence. They're really good for matching and mirroring tonality, reading people, building rapport, things like that. Jordan Belfort, Straight Line Persuasion. He's obviously raised on the phones, so dude knows some really small things that can help you build that rapport in that first 3 seconds. Then one is a throwback book called Spin Selling. Came out in, I think, the 70s or 80s. It really breaks selling down to a science and the 4 different types of questions and how you need to really focus on implementation questions and need payoff questions, right? Where most people focus on problem questions and things like that, right? So those 3 things are the pillars that I love. Read as much as you can, right? So the more you read, the more you learn. Even if you read a book, a sales book, and at a certain point, you'll get one thing out of it, but then you add that to yours.
I think that's a great 3 combo with strong reasoning. Awesome. At the advanced level, I've converted some expireds and I really want to now hunker down on this one lead source. And I want to try and accelerate to a Josh Finigan where I can convert 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 in a good year. This is usually where I think get into kind of disciplines, we get into techniques, we get into tools, we get into software and services. What is some of your best advice for those that are there, but now they need to transcend to that next level?
Number 1 is consistency. Consistency is key. A lot in my industry now, there's like building the YouTube and the team and all that fun stuff, but literally every single morning being on those calls. Being the first person that they talk to is 100% a game changer. Does that mean if you're the 15th person, you can't get their business? No. Where I just talked to a guy that expired 2 weeks ago and he's about to hire between 2 people and I've weaseled my way in and now I'm the 3rd. And so our goal is to get that listing tomorrow. There's a lot of ways you can do it, but if you are the first, it's best, right? So consistency is key. Next thing, as far as software and stuff like that, obviously data is important, but at the end of the day, you're going to get some people's phone numbers and not others. I think Vulcan's obviously the best, but most people have Vulcan. So they also are a little bit diluted. You're going to get the most calls on those phone numbers. And then the phone numbers that you use are important as well, with the amount of different programs, like Robo is one of them, Smart Robo, there's always new ones coming out. Like even AT&T, Verizon, they all have spam likely that pop up. So number 1, don't use your phone number, because then you try to call a client and you try to call about an offer and then your phone number is showing up as spam likely, nobody's gonna answer your phone calls. But also, if you're trying to prospect on a phone number and it's showing up as scam likely, you're going to notice your contacts just drop tremendously. So monitor how you can actually track or monitor the phone numbers. Make sure you're not showing up as spam likely. Make sure you have multiple different phone numbers to call people from, and then always filter through your phone numbers. I think the rule of thumb, don't quote me on this, but I think if you call 80 to 100 phone numbers on one number increases your odds tremendously that you're going to be flagged as spam likely on a lot of these things. So that can definitely hinder your success rate.
Yep, agreed. One of my good buddies a long time ago, he had a phone number for every day that he prospected. Yeah.
And I just filter them.
Exactly. I love it. Cool. Number 1 is cherry pick the easy one by having the discipline to be the first person that tries to get a hold of the expired. You usually get the easiest one there. And if you maintain a high level of discipline, you will win. Yeah. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. That's like a fundamental, you run that discipline, don't say anything too stupid, and you will be successful. Generally speaking.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think also what I do now is I focus my list on, which there's 2 different schools of thought. If you're more advanced, like when the new listings come out, I want to call where I want to focus on. So the call location and higher price. I change my filters to only get those. But again, if you're just starting out, dude, drive an hour and a half, drive 2 hours. I've done it. Somebody told me once in the day, like, if I told you that there was a check for $7,000 2 hours away, would you drive by and get it? The answer is yes. So why would you drive there for a listing appointment? So if you're newer, expand that search, right? Don't put a limit on your price point. Just get those listings, get that skill up. And then as you grow and become better and more advanced and work, you're able to pinpoint what you want and the lead type you want.
Yep, agreed. In terms of building your value proposition, once I started to become confident that what I could do would make a difference for them, and I actually owned that, I wasn't just making a call to get a commission check, and I wasn't making a call to follow a script to see if I can get an appointment, and I transcended into, hey, I know how to take their biggest problem, solve that problem, and get them the result that they want. And I transcended into that mindset. Things just got a little bit easier. It's just a matter of getting a hold of people. For you today, what's your mindset? What's your unique value proposition? What do you share with others that they can aspire to get to?
The more you do and the more you actually reach out to these people, a lot of them need to sell. And a lot of them just really have no idea why their home didn't sell. They're frustrated with the entire process. And they just want to achieve a goal, right? So number one, they don't really want to talk to you. They don't want to list their home. They want to sell their home, right? And for what reason do they want to sell their home? Where are they moving to? What's important, right? What is the motivation? So the goal number one is focusing on motivation, right? People do actions for one of two things: move towards pleasure or away from pain. So they're going to probably have both, but one main factor that's really pushing them towards that way. Then obviously when we frame the conversation, I want to come from inquiry, really figure out what they're looking to accomplish, how we can help, and then just identify, hey, this is what we do. We specialize in homes that fail to sell. I saw yours pop across my desk today, and I was a little surprised it didn't sell. So I wanted to reach out to you, number one, to see if your home already sold, or see if you're still looking to sell. So you get that conversation going, identify what they're looking to do, and from there, how you can help them. Right.
One of the advanced moves, I love what you just brought up right there, is the conversation can steer in one of two ways. It can go into the frustration, right? The why I'm pissed off because I didn't achieve the goal, or you could steer it in the direction of the aspirational goal. What were you trying to accomplish? I can go either way at the beginning of a conversation. Hey, what happened? I would expect that your property would have sold. What did your agent say? I would have anticipated a property as high quality as yours in a location would have sold. And again, so what happened? You must be very frustrated, right? You can go in that direction, or you can go in this other kind of positive direction. If I could help you get this done, I was just curiosity. Did you guys already identify places you were going to? What did you see anything you like? Where were you guys planning on going? Tell me more about that. And I started amplifying this like aspirational, and I re-get them inspired by what they're trying to accomplish. How do you navigate those two? Do you put them in order, or do you free flow?
Free flow a little bit. I have a script, and I've been doing this for a long time, so my script is internalized in my head.
Totally.
So it depends on where the conversation goes. And those, like what you mentioned, a great point, right? It's one of two ways: focus on the motivation or focus on the what happened. A lot of times, if it shifts to the what happened, I want to go back to the motivation because I felt that's extremely important. And that's really the nuts and the bolts. But asking them what happened, you can build that rapport, really figure out what happened, and frankly, divert back to, great, sounds like that didn't happen. And I would be frustrated if I was you. You're on the market for 85 days. You had 52 showings. You don't know why your home didn't sell. Yeah, I'd be upset as well. And that's why I was calling. If you don't me asking, where were you going to move it actually sold?
Yep. I figured out that there's a very specific kind of value proposition that if they were a motivated expired, that I could get them to basically say yes. What is, in general, where are you at today with a good expired? You found the pain point, you found what happened, they've identified that they're motivated. What is your general scripting right now for the close?
It can change per person. A lot of times, like, hey, when are you planning on interviewing agents? And they say, I'm already interviewing, right? Great, let's go ahead and set an appointment. But at the end of the day, you get that motivation and say, okay, so if you're home, if you knew for a fact that there was a different strategy, an agent with different tools, a more aggressive strategy, get your property out there in front of the right buyers and get it sold, would it be worth 15 or 20 minutes of your time to hear a little bit more about? Be honest.
Yep,
right.
Exactly.
And from there, you even said, hey, I'm going to go pull the sold sign up down the street tomorrow. Are you available more at 4 or would 5:30 be better? Which one's better for you? Give them two options that they have the opinion of choice, but then each choice is what you want, right? But again, you want to follow the motivation, figure out if a lot of the stuff that they say is just smoke screens, but figure out if it's an objection that you can overcome and work around, or if it's a condition, right? Because a lot of this is in the follow-up. I think you and I chatted about this. I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but it was like 30% of our expired listings came from literally a week after they expired. 30% was within the first 6 months, and I think 30% was like after 6 months. So a lot of it is in the follow-up.
Yeah.
And literally got a list. We interviewed for the job last year, did a dumb decision, hired somebody else. Didn't sell again, but I followed up with him like for that whole time. And literally when I met with him the second time, I was like, yeah, you're the only one that's stayed consistent, followed up. You must be good at your job and giving you the listing.
Yes. Yeah.
And I've got like the longer time frame it is, got a listing 2.5 million that I was literally following up with the guy for 4 years.
Yep.
And I walked in, got it signed. There was no competition. They weren't entering 4 people. They're like, you're hungry, let's give you the business, right?
Yeah. This is such an important point for my dad used to classically ask the question of the audience, do we lose more business from over following up or under following up? And most agents who are beginning in their career, their instincts are, I don't want to bug them. I don't want to annoy them. I'm going to lose them from being too consistent. But what you said is exactly what the common thread is, which is the consistent follow-uppers are always the one that the seller says, you earned it. You were the only one. You stayed with me. And whether or not it's 6 months or a year or 2 years or 3 years later, they usually say, you earned it, come on over. And so it's a classic pattern that I see. Most agents completely bomb it, right? I introduced one of my clients. He was doing expireds for a long time until his YouTube started to become successful. Then he built a database of about, I don't know, I think it was 1,300 expireds or FSBOs that agreed that he could follow up with them. He stopped following up with them. We went back through that whole list. He had lost 10 listings and people are like, where were you? I would have listed with you, but you just stopped following up on me. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. All right, Josh, any final words of wisdom? This was brilliant. There's some amazing things in there, but is there anything in the area of scripting, skills, mindset, tools, tech, how to scale up the expired business?
One thing, going back to what we were chatting about earlier, is this in Tony Robbins Mastering Influence. If you have to close hard at the end, then you didn't do your job throughout the process. There's a lot of small details throughout the minutiae where, like, a lot of times when you ask me, what's your closing technique? Like, a lot of times it's a pretty easy technique because at that time, they love me. They want to meet with me. Like, they're excited about that, right? So it's an easier conversation and it's a small listening account. So, like, I always tell people, however they answer the phone the same way. If they say hello, you say hello. Say howdy, you say how do you do there? You say how do you do there? Because that's the first way you can show them that I am like them. You want to match their rate of speech, their tonality. You want to match everything you possibly can about them because that's, again, the smaller stuff. People like them. So if you talk way too fast and they talk really slow because we're here in the country and I talk really fast, then they're not going to like me if they talk really slow like this. So I have to slow my voice down a lot on these calls. The next thing is a lot of people are nervous about calling expires because so many people do, but I promise you 90% of people that do have no idea what they're doing and they're horrible at it. I've literally been sitting with expireds at a listing appointment and they get a call and they like put it on speakerphone and I hear it, and then 90% of their calls are agents literally reading from a script in front of them for the first time ever. And there's obviously a few in your area that you'll probably run into multiple times that do it, but that's few and far in between.
Yeah, if you can transcend from a good quality communication skills, you really develop rapport building skills, that transcends you to an entire new level of success. You really master the art of the conversation and the nuances of that conversation. You transcend to a higher level of success. And there's always going to be 40, 50 people who just went to some event, learned a script, got on the phone, made some calls. They come and go all the time. The best of the best are obsessed with the conversion skills, the techniques, closes, the questions, all the nuances. And that's, my friends, how you get to Josh's level where you're at 40 expired listings in a year and you've built a very successful business. Josh, you are awesome. How should people follow you, find you, send their referrals to Charlotte, to you? What's the best way for them to keep in tune with what you're up to?
You can follow us on Facebook. I can send you a link to that. We're on Instagram as well. Go to YouTube channel, youtube.com/Josh Finigan TV. Happy to help, happy to answer any questions, and would love to take care of your clients here in the Charlotte area.
And his YouTube channel is built for those relocation buyers, my friends. If you have a relocation buyer, definitely send them over to Josh's YouTube channel. And you already know that he is a ninja when it comes to listing conversion. So if you have a listing referral and you want the guarantee that someone's going to get it done for you, you're going to collect that commission check, you should call Josh. All right, guys. Thank you, Josh. You're the man. And I'll see you on the next coaching session. Reach out to Josh and let me know how I can support you guys. See ya.
Always a pleasure.